LawCall.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us tonight for LawCall, our topic tonight is wills, estate planning, and trust. So if you've got questions on that, we've got answers. And I'm joined tonight by our host attorney, is Barrett Curbo from the law firm of Reynolds, Horne Survant. And our guest attorney tonight is Ian McMullen from the firm. I had to make sure I get this pronunciation right, Fauché. The Fauché McMullen Law Group in Milledgeville. And while we're on the break, we had our first caller, and we've got Marissa is holding for us from Lizella. You still holding for us, Marissa?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. What's your question for us tonight?
Yes, I'm a 66-year-old widower who has property, several acres, a house, a few vehicles, and to my understanding, the 2026 inheritance tax is going to, that my children will have to pay a hefty inheritance tax in 2026 when something happens to me. My question is, I already have a will, and it's equal parts to equal children. They will just have to decide which one. I just need to know how to avoid the high inheritance tax. Do I need to give it to him now, or can we set up a trust, or how does that work?
We were just talking about that before the break, so great question, right on time.
So I'm not a tax lawyer, and I don't pretend to be, but when you talk about the inheritance tax, that's the estate tax, and right now it's a very, very high exemption. There's not that many people in Middle Georgia that are going to meet it. Right now, I think it's your total assets are going to have to be somewhere in excess of about $11 million for that to be even an issue for you. So,
oh, wow.
if you know, what I tell people is if your CPA is telling you that you need to talk to a tax lawyer, then that's an issue for you. But most of the time, if your CPA is not saying, hey, you need to go talk to a tax lawyer, you're probably okay on that. And the truth of it is that one thing I do see people kind of mess up on is that they actually have this idea that they're going to deed it to their kids before they die, and that actually can cause more of a tax issue than it solves, and you lose what's called the stepped up basis when you start trying to figure your capital gain tax if they were to sell it. So, you know, again, you need to talk with your lawyer if you're making these. If you've got a will, and it was done by a lawyer and it was done fairly recently, I think you're probably okay on that. A trust doesn't necessarily help, and quite frankly, trust in my practice tend to cause more problems for people than they solve most of the time. You know, there's no cookie cutter approach to this. I mean, everybody's a little different, but you really need to just talk with your lawyer and make sure that they know your situation, what your assets are, and, you know, talk to them about your fears of the estate tax, and they can tell you, hey, this isn't an issue for you, or it is. Don't go online and try to, you know, figure it out from the internet. That's probably going to lead you in a bad direction. Talk to your lawyer.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of how just because you can go online and do something doesn't mean you probably should, because anyone can go and fill out a form, but knowing why that form is important and what the ramifications of the form, whatever you're doing, are the really more important issue.